Okay, so here's part two to making the capes. This is for if you want to have a double layered cape or you want to do two colors, one on the inside, one on the out. You just use a different color fabric here on the bottom. But both of these are going to be black, so I'm just going to get the first piece and lay it on top of some more fabric that I already have stretched out. And then I'm just going to flatten it out and get it nice and even all the way across. And now once that's done, all you're going to do is just get some scissors and you're basically just trimming the cape that you already have out and cutting away at the fabric. If this is your first time, I would suggest that you pin along the cape to the fabric. That way you can hold it in place and ensure that nothing will move as you're trying to cut. But since I've done this a few times, I've learned how to keep a pretty steady hand so that way I don't make the fabric move and mess up the cuts that I'm trying to make. And then you'll just do the exact same thing on the bottom. Just start on one side and cut all the way across. You see I'm just continuing to smooth everything out just so it can be even. And I have two identical pieces. And then once you finish it, just take away all the excess fabric and you will see you will have one solid piece, which is two sides of a cape. Now with the fabric that I just pulled away, the scrap fabric, I'm going to use some of that for the necktie. So I cut off a piece about maybe 1.5 to 2 inches wide, and I'm just going to fold it in half and sew along the edges all the way down and across the top and across the bottom. Now this doesn't have to be anything perfect. I didn't measure it. I just estimated and just cut a strip out. Because once you flip it inside out, you'll see how it's really not too detailed. And now once you've sewn all the way down lengthwise and you sew it across the top part and the bottom part, just flatten it out a little bit. You're gonna fold it in half and then get you some scissors and cut along the middle. And this will give you your two neckties that you will use to hold the cape and tie it up. I didn't have all my accessories with me, so I had to go get. You can use a wooden dowel you can get from the store, but I had a marimba mallet just sitting across the floor, so I decided to use that since I didn't have anything else. So all you're gonna do, on the end that is sewed together, you're gonna put it on the end and get your stick, or sometimes you can use a pin, but it needs to be long enough to push all the way through. And you're gonna basically just fold the fabric on top of itself to turn it inside out. And once you do that, this will be what you're left with. And that's one necktie there. And you're gonna do the same thing for the other piece as well. And there are your 2 neckties for your cape. Alright, so I'm happy with that length, and I'm going to sit those to the side and begin sewing the cape together. Now, if you use pins to hold the pieces together, all you have to do is just get the corner of the neck and get your first necktie and put it on the inside. Now with this fabric, you want to have it with the outside portions of the cape turn into each other. So what will be the inside of the cape is what you see here. That's what is on the outside, because at the end you're going to flip it inside out to close it up. So you get your first necktie piece and put it in the corner of the neck on one side, and then you just keep sewing across until you get to the other corner of the neck, and you'll insert your other necktie piece. And as you sew along the edges, just remove the pins. And here is my other necktie. Just hold it right in the corner and tuck it in. Get the other corner, pinch it together, and just sew straight across. The majority of the work for making capes goes into measuring and cutting your first piece, because from here on out everything's pretty much simple. And so once you have those two sewn together, you literally are just going to sew along the edges from one side all the way down across the bottom and up the other side. The only thing is, once you get to the end, instead of sewing the cape completely together, you're going to leave about maybe 2 to 3 inches of a hole, so that way you'll have room to push the fabric in just like we did with the neckties, and you'll flip it inside out so that the outside of the cape will now be exposed, and everything here that you see will be on the inside. So I'm just going to keep trimming along the edge and sewing it together. And here's that hole I was talking about, and all you do is just push the cape in to turn it right side out. Now once you get everything pushed in, you may have to stand up and just pop your cape a little bit just so you can get all the air out and get everything flat. And then once you have that done, that last hole that you had, you're going to get and tuck in the corners and kind of fold the cut edges of the fabric on the inside, so that way you can get it and sew that last part together. Now they make, I believe, what's called a hook and eye closure that you can use to give it more of an invisible scene. But to be honest, I just prefer to go ahead and sew it closed here. It's quick, easy, and no one's really gonna see that. So, and if they do, they're looking too hard. So hey, that's just a preference. But that's all up to you. And that is really all there is to making a cake.